Thank you so much, Sarah, for sitting here with me today on Palestine Talks. I'm hoping we can talk about storytelling, Palestinian voices, and also the UK government, if there's time. So you've written before in your own journalism that it's important that Palestinians are the narrators of their own stories. And just in your view, how often do we see that in mainstream media, and how much is there left to go?
I think we're starting to see some change, and that's promising, but there is a long way to go. I think Palestinians are really inventive at telling their own stories, and they have been doing so for a while. And I think now this is the first time that, in my experience, I'm now seeing all sorts of people trying to find Palestinian stories, whether it's literature, films, plays, theatre, because of what's happening. So many people around the world, and even where I'm from in London, are trying to find creative ways to engage with this struggle. And film is the most amazing tool to do that, because you can tell stories in this compassionate, human way. You know, if you as a writer or a filmmaker can write about the human condition, which many writers can't do, it's really hard to really do that in a meaningful way. If you can do that within the context of Palestine, you can reach an audience, and you can change hearts, minds, opinions, and then later people can find other tools to educate themselves if they need to. So in terms of the necessity for Palestinians to be at the center of that, I think it's really key. And it's not that I don't believe that people can support and help, because we need help, you know, and not just as Palestinians, but as creators. No one can do anything by themselves. You have to find teammates and people to support your work, people who believe in you. But I think it's really important that Palestinians are at the center of that, particularly at a time of cultural erasure, so that the narrative is not twisted or exploited or watered down. That it's really important to go to the authentic voice. And I even think that as someone born in London, and I turn to the people in Gaza or the people in the West Bank. I want to hear what they're saying, because they have a much more urgent thing to say than what I have to say. But at least I can find those stories as, a Londoner, as someone that's passionate about Arab cinema, and try and bring them to UK audiences.
Yes, I take your point very well, because as we're seeing within the Palestinian solidarity movement globally, it's quite a diverse one, which is beautiful and certainly inspirational. But how do we ensure that we continue to center Palestinian voices because of the reasons that you just mentioned?
I think if a Palestinian has something to say, we should listen and support their work. And Palestinians have been doing it for a long time. Palestine has a long history of civil society and literature. I mean, the first female photographer in the Arab world was born in Bethlehem. The first film shot in the Arab world was shot in Jerusalem in 1948. So it's not new. It's just that I think Palestinians have constantly tried to survive. That storytelling has obviously taken a back seat, but now we've reached a point in the movement where Palestinians are using things like art and culture to reject their conditions and find ways to tell their own stories. And I think I would always just be wary of, if someone wants to support a Palestinian project, why? And to interrogate the intention. And you can always tell when the intention is pure. And if the intention is pure and it's about helping and elevating as opposed to exploiting, I think brilliant. We need all the help we can get, and we can work together to tell these stories.
And as a Palestinian in the UK, I'm wondering if you can speak to how you've responded to the UK government's unfortunate support still in this genocide of Israel, and perhaps how the UK public can join that support and solidarity with you and force the Palestinian people.
I think it's really difficult because people are tired and there's a lot of fatigue. I think one of the most important things is to not give up, because a lot of people are saying, we've written the petitions, we've signed the petitions, we've been on the marches, we've boycotted various companies, we've sent a letter to our MP, and we're not seeing changes. What I personally believe, and I hope that I'm right, I have to believe that I'm right in order to convince myself to keep going, I think is to just not give up, because I think they're banking on people to assume it's a helpless, hopeless cause. and just go back to their lives, when actually the genocide is ongoing and we have a moral duty to keep going and to keep pressurizing and to keep taking up space and trying to hold people accountable. And I hope I'm right in saying that this is the first time I think we might see some accountability, and I really hope I'm right. With 2 cases at the ICC, with the genocide case at the ICJ, these things mean something. They're not irrelevant.
Right.
And whilst it feels like we're absolutely up against it, and we are, I think the accumulative pressure, there will come a moment, I believe, when there's a huge tipping point, and we just all have to be there for each other and full of energy, and we have to also look after ourselves. Because if we run ourselves into the ground, we'll do no good for anyone. So we just have to keep going, keep believing, keep supporting ourselves, because it's a marathon, not a sprint on this one. This is going to be a long, long, long struggle. So we have to keep going and just trying to be try not to lose sight of your own humanity, I think, and always think about compassion and kindness. This is a just cause, but we have to love each other and do all that we can to end this occupation.
And as an artist, as a film creator, I'm just wondering if you find there's anything within the arts in particular that can help advance the larger struggle for justice in Palestine or the liberation of Palestine. Do you think there's something specific about, the arts or creativity that can lend itself to that?
Yeah, there is so much, and I think art has always played a really important role in many struggles. Art is intrinsically political. So it's always funny when people say that art ought not to be political, and Palestine is deemed political, therefore keep Palestine out of your art, and vice versa. It's nonsense, If you look at most struggles around the world, storytelling, art, whether it's visual art, graffiti, music, filmmaking, it's really, really relevant.
Yes.
So what I would say, whilst it feels like we're up against it, and as I said, we are, I'm starting to see more solidarity everywhere, in different spaces, in different institutions. What was acceptable to put on a stage 5-10 years ago is different now.
Yes.
Lots of institutions want to help, they want to support, they want to platform Palestinian voices, and they're doing that at a risk.
Yes.
The Palestinian cause is not acceptable yet. It's still deemed controversial. So when institutions and organizations support us, they're taking a risk. And I'm heartened to see lots of people try to elevate Palestinian stories.
Yes, that's true. It's a very good point actually you make, that it's still a quote-unquote risk, if I can put it that way, because for the last 10-15 years, we've seen all kinds of very important social justice movements within the West take off, and there has not been that pushback that we're seeing with Palestine. And do you think that there's still a reckoning that the West has to undertake and be honest with itself, that this exception means, this Palestinian exception means that fundamentally they are still a colonial presence in the world?
Yes, and I also think that I don't personally think that Palestine is exceptional in this. I think it's just to do with timing and where we're at right now. Because there are many causes that were deemed controversial in the past and now are not.
Right.
A great example, although unfortunately they're also under a lot of fire unfairly, but is the kneecap film.
Right.
The kneecap film is really bold in what it's saying.
Yes.
I was shocked to see that. I watched it at BAFTA and I thought, wow, I can't believe there's a story here about the occupation of Ireland and the struggle for freedom and liberty and human rights. This is on screen at BAFTA. This is made in a really exceptional way. That would have been really controversial in the 70s and the 80s and certainly far before that. Same with Black Lives Matter. I know that movement is just in a different place to where we are now.
Right.
And I personally believe there will come a point in time in the future where the Palestinian movement is no longer controversial, personally.
Yes.
I hope I live to see that,
Nice.
and I hope that we don't have to wait 800 years as Ireland did, or 300 years, or when it comes to South Africa and all these other places where it took hundreds of years for there to be a recognition. I hope that social media has exacerbated the public awareness and has encouraged people to do something and engage and learn. And I also think some movements have a knock-on effect. I think after and during Black Lives Matter, I know it's an ongoing struggle, but sort of when it was really in the headlines, I found a lot of people messaging me for the first time ever to say, hey, listen, I know you talk a lot about Palestine and I've not always listened. Please can you just tell me what to read, and please can you tell me what to watch? And I thought, wow, it's really interesting that the effect of Black Lives Matter has encouraged or inspired some people to learn about other social justice issues, Palestine being one of them. So I have to live in hope, and I do believe there will come a time when everyone will be against this, and everyone will look back on this period and say it was wrong, the genocide was wrong, how did the world let it happen? That day will come.
You know, I feel like I also have to take stock of, like, perhaps how I could have thought that it would never come to this. Like, if you were to ask me before October that this would be now, would never have believed it, but unfortunately this is the world.
I think
that but to your point, it's just it's very assuring to see people continuing in the struggle. Thank you so much, Sarah, for this most illuminating interview. I'm just wondering if you have any final thoughts or observations.
I would say people shouldn't give up, and obviously I love Palestinian film, so if you have a few hours free, watch Bye Bye Tiberius by Lina Sawalim, or watch The Teacher by Farah Nabulsi, or watch 200 Meters by Amin Naifer. There are some really brilliant productions coming out of Palestine, even from ground zero, 22 short films made, edited, produced on the ground in Gaza and edited and distributed to the world. Watch these films and tell all your friends to watch them, because film is power.
Absolutely. I thank you so much, Sarah. I certainly will.
Thank you for having me.